The book that I'm choosing to analyze for this assignment is Kite Runner. Now, Kite Runner follows a boy named Amir through his childhood and goes into his adulthood a little bit. Now, most of the plot takes place in Afghanistan, and there's a little section in California, and then comes back to Afghanistan. Now, Amir's life was a little bit higher up than a lot of other people in Afghanistan at the time. His family was very wealthy, and he had a family of servants that took care of him. And one of these servants was named Hassan, which was a little boy that was about his age. And they started becoming friends at a very young age because that was when Amir was still ignorant to who or really what Hassan was. So Hassan was actually a Shia in Afghanistan, and the Shia were very, very discriminated against, especially during that time in Afghanistan. So they started growing apart because of this, and eventually there is a part in the book where Amir frames Hassan for something that he didn't do, and eventually Hassan and Ali leave the house and don't return. And Amir feels like he never really had closure, got to say goodbye before doing this to Hassan, and that's really the last time that they see each other for the book. So next thing that the book shows us is that Hassan and Baba, which is Amir's stepdad that gets revealed later in the book, heading to California. Now, at this point, Amir may have been leaving his home, like house, but he still is taking family with him, and that idea that home is really like a mindset, and it can really follow you anywhere applies here, where as long as he has Baba and pieces of his family with him, he still feels like he's home. Now, they have a fairly normal life in California. They do have to start over, so it is a little bit of a struggle trying to get on their feet and settled in. And eventually, Baba gets diagnosed with cancer. And Amir feels really, really bad about this because throughout his entire life, he's always been trying to seek approval from Baba, and he feels like it's always been an uphill battle to try to prove something to him. And Baba always said that he doesn't feel like Amir is really able to stand up for what's right. So Amir gets married, and he gets married in California. He loses touch at what home is because he kind of started his own life with his new wife and everything, and he really has no family from his home, from his original home, left with him. So he loses that sense of home, and he kind of disconnects for a little bit. That is until Rahim shows up, which is a family friend of theirs that knew the family very well. And this was the first part of the reconnection with his home, and Amir starts realizing that, there is still part of his home out there that he just hasn't kept in touch with. So Rahim brings up Hassan, and Amir really, really feels bad for how he left Hassan, and he felt like he never really got any closure or was able to say goodbye or anything. So he does ask Rahim if it's possible for him to go, for him to talk to Hassan once again, but Rahim has to break the news that Hassan actually got executed for coming back to the home and for coming back to the original childhood home and being a Shia in that area. So yeah, Amir is kind of in disarray at this point because he feels like, again, he never really got to say goodbye, and that was the one of the biggest parts of his home that he's not able to see once again before leaving. And since he doesn't have any family left, Hassan felt like Hassan was his only family that he could have had left. But Rahim does say that Hassan did have a son, and that he's living in an orphanage. Now, since Amir never really got attached emotionally to his son, he doesn't really feel bad for him, and he is really, really hesitant on going back and retrieving his son because of how dangerous it is, and it's not going to be easy to go in and grab him and get out. But eventually, Amir does agree to go and retrieve Hassan's son. Now, there's a lot of conflict and a lot of struggle retrieving him, but the one of the main reasons he even goes there in the first place is because that mentality that Hassan's son is kind of the only thing that he has left from home, and he doesn't want to completely forget where he came from, and Hassan's son is basically family to him. So he goes out and retrieves him. Lots of conflict, a lot of struggle, but he eventually makes it back alive. And the book actually ends with Amir and Hassan's son flying a kite in a park back in California. Now, this shows the idea that things have come full circle, and that home really never leaves, because there is such a strong parallel between the beginning of the book and the end of the book, where Amir is flying a kite with Hassan, and at the end of the book, Amir is flying a kite with Hassan's son, showing that home never really left, and he's still able to live in his home every day now that he has Hassan's son.